Let me tell you, you've not lived until you have driven in rush hour traffic in a 32 Ford Coupe hot rod through Beverly Hills with Mr. Bruce Meyer. Today on That Car Show, Lindsey drives every new car available today in one afternoon and picks a winner. Dan gets screwed in the passenger seat of an M4 at Laguna Seca, and I check off a few enthusiast boxes of my own on the streets of Beverly Hills and behind the wheel of a very special Alfaholics GTA-R. Plus, we divvy up condiments, insult the French, and get all old-timey, talking about the new Swatch AP collab. You'll never miss the midnight train to Georgia again, listeners. It's the car podcast for people who actually like cars. It's That Car Show.
Hey folks, and welcome to this week's That Car Show. It seems like I am the only one without a stalker right now, so if anyone's listening...
You need to change the name of the show briefly.
Feel free to stalk away.
He's single.
Dan's in the market for a stalker. You heard it here first.
So before we kick off, I did want to give a shout out to the original Porsche dealership car podcast. I was listening to the boys at the First Dibs the other day, and Justin, who is one of the two hosts, mentioned that he did a test drive a while back of a 911 Turbo, and guess what road he quoted?
I have a hunch that it was a certain
toll
road.
This is a true story. It was a toll road.
Ryan, any guesses?
Yeah, 470 for sure, because that is the best tarmac in the state, if not the west of the Mississippi. It is such a good road. It's the closest thing to an Autobahn, I think, that we have, although I know E470 doesn't want to hear the Autobahn part, but it's a fantastic surface and is very much where you would want to test drive a 911 Turbo. So just saying.
So it was a strategic move on Justin's part.
It wasn't an in-ad placement for the record. We didn't do that. No. Just so happened that he mentioned that road. So shout out to that podcast. Check it out.
Yeah.
We have been up to so much. I'm not sure whether we can cram it all into an hour, but I think we'll try.
We may have to do our first ever two-parter.
That's right, yeah. Lindsey, I'll start with you. Now, you went to something called Mudfest, and in my head, that's Coachella meets Glastonbury, maybe meets the Spa, but it wasn't, was it? Well, what was Mudfest?
So Mudfest, and this year it was dry, so Dust Fest would have been a more appropriate name, but the event has traditionally always been called Mudfest. It's an annual thing put on by the Northwest Automotive Press Association, which is NWAPA for those in the know. And so it's an annual
event.
You get
NWAPA and cheese.
Yeah, exactly. Did you want fries with that? Yes, I love it. So we got to drive 19 different cars, and it was at the Ridge, which is a racetrack in Bremerton. So it was a couple hours from Seattle, depending on traffic, depending on where you were coming from, out on the peninsula here near Bremerton. And they have a car track, like their main big track is for cars and motorcycles. They also have a go-kart track, which is a scale version of the car track. And that's actually what we took the cars on, was the go-kart track. And then it wasn't autocross in the sense of like we were racing, but they had a course coned out in the parking lot. So it was flat, but it had a lot of curves to it. And then we had a 0 to 60 acceleration and braking zone, which was definitely one of the most fun parts. So you go, and it's a collection of automotive media from the region. And then like somebody came in from Denver that knows Ryan. And then we had a gal come down from Canada who's part of the group. So it was a good mix. And then you drive all 19 cars both days. So the first day was what I just described. And then the second day, we get to go on like an off-road course with all the same cars. And this was the outdoor activity vehicle, like sort of selection. That was kind of the types of vehicles we had. So some are designed to go off-road and some are very definitely not, don't start life as off-road vehicles. So that made it really interesting the next day. But it's a great way to test the capabilities. And there were so many amazing surprises where, I'd get in a car and I'm like, all right, I'm really not sure how this is going to go. And it would charge through the off-road course. And I'm like, well, I don't know if I would take this particular car because it was a good mix of like luxury cars, and then there was a Ram truck and there was a Jeep Wrangler. Those are obviously designed to do off-road. But, then there was a Lucid Gravity. Like, that's a luxury, they call it an SUV. When I look at it, I typically think it's like more minivan type, but, SUV, crossover, minivan, whatever. I don't think you look at that and think off-road, but it did the whole course.
Yeah.
So it was
Should have
really
held
fun.
on to that one.
Well, hopefully I will be getting it before too long. But
Okay, excellent.
would you like to hear the cars that we drove? Because it was quite a mix.
Yeah.
And so at the end of the 2 days, is there an outright winner?
Good question.
Yes. So there are
Okay.
several categories. And so you vote at the end of each day, which is, it's cool because the days, like what you're doing with the cars is very different on each day. So you vote twice basically, or vote early and
Like
often. As
Chicago.
we kept joking, right? Yeah. We found this box of ballots and then they tally them up and we find out the winner. So I do have the winners also. So we drove an Hyundai Ioniq 5 XRT, Jeep Wrangler Moab 392, Kia Sportage X Pro, Mazda CX-5 Premium Plus, and then Subaru had 3 cars. They had the Outback Wilderness, an Uncharted GT, which I had not gotten to see before. So
Well,
that
that's
was
the
really
new
fun.
EV.
It is.
Yeah.
And I think it's the one Spike just got for his younger son because they talked about it while we were at the event. They talked about it on his show. And the Subaru Trail Seeker Limited, which is another of their EVs. And when I was driving those 3, I just kept thinking like Subaru is killing it. They were just so good. We love Subaru on this show, obviously, but yeah, I got out of it and told the Subaru gal that was there, I'm like, you guys are just running away with it. These are all so good. There was a Toyota RAV4 Hybrid Woodland Edition, a Volkswagen Tiguan SEL-R line, Honda Pilot Elite, Hyundai Palisade XRT Pro, Kia Telluride X Pro, Mitsubishi Outlander Trail Edition, a Genesis GV80 Prestige 3.5, and then a GV80 Coupe, Genesis again, Lucid Gravity Grand Touring, Polestar 4 Dual Motor Pilot, and then the Ram 1500 Warlock, which is an EV truck.
These names are getting out of hand.
I mean, every time you walk, and it says Warlock on the back of the bed. Like
That's a
on the
male
rear
witch,
side.
if you didn't already know.
It was the best thing. I mean, it just makes you smile, and you're like, okay, I have to drive the Warlock again.
Well, and I love how we have this need to incorporate the word trail with some sort of suffix into these cars. And just when I think that they've all been taken, what was that? Trail Finder? Was that
Trail Seeker?
Trail Seeker. Okay, that's so good on them. But
I know, right?
It's definitely a thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So I have, there were a lot, obviously 19 cars, but it was pretty much my like perfect couple days because I'm like, I have to drive all these cars.
That sounds awesome.
Sounds amazing. I'm trying to think of like a few of the kind of notables in a field of like 19 really good cars. So the Uncharted was incredibly quick, super cool interior. It was just one of those like got in it and just instantly went like, yes, I could drive this. And it had really good traction off-road. Like it did amazingly. The Outlander had a really intuitive interior, lots of drive modes, very comfortable seats, super capable off-road. And one of the coolest things about that one is that it is in a class of like 2-row SUVs, but it actually has a 3rd row in the back. You would never know. It's got a great cargo area, but you can pop up this kind of, they call it the just in case 3rd row, so that if something happens and you have to take more people, you can stick a couple kids back there and then it folds back down and you're good to go. And it's not an oversized car.
Yeah, that's a kind of a surprising car. They're big in rental fleets currently, and I think it's the only model that Mitsubishi currently makes.
Possibly.
Check me on that. But I actually see a lot of them, and I hear they're pretty decent. And
it was definitely.
That's good to hear. I mean, Mitsubishi, I thought they were goners, and it's good to hear they're back.
No, it was one of many like pleasant surprises. It was very nice. You would definitely, enjoy it on a trip at a minimum or go buy one. The Ioniq 5 had really responsive steering and it felt luxurious. The Polestar felt very at home on the track, which was fun.
Interesting.
The Ram, so it was, it had a Hemi engine upgrade, which I was surprised is only $2,500, and I would say worth it for the exhaust note.
Who's not getting that?
I know, right?
Yeah.
Well, and I think I may have misspoken because I think it's a hybrid. It's not an EV, obviously, if it's got the Hemi engine in it. And it was super confident off-road, as you'd imagine. They had me stop it at the top of one of the big hills with one of the tires in a very deep rut. And they said, okay, we don't have any of the assistance on. And I want you to just slowly accelerate out. And the truck just like zoop, right up the hill. Not a problem. Let's see. The Jeep, obviously.
Can I interrupt? So that
fun.
Ram, last one I drove, had an amazing ride. Did you experience that? I think it's an air ride. One of the best riding vehicles I've driven in years.
Well,
Shocked
and we were
by it.
on, grass, dirt. Like they did make some mud later in the day so the event could live up to its name, and like gravel. And you're going back and forth at high speeds with the different road surfaces. And the truck was one of the most confident, like, slam the brakes on gravel. That's a loose surface, obviously. And it just was solid as a rock, as a warlock, one might even say.
That's a vehicle that really surprised me. It's just not on my radar, not anything I'd ever buy for myself. It's just too much of everything, but was really impressed.
That's what
with
makes it so great, though.
Yeah.
It was really fun. And they I got to floor it a couple times, and that was pretty intoxicating. It sounded amazing. I would definitely drive one of those.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah.
The Jeep obviously was great off-road. Yeah. The interior was lovely, and it had a fun automated ragtop, like convertible that you could, I think up to 55 miles an hour, you can open and close it while you're driving if the weather changes or something. The CX-5 had a really nice interior. It was like simple and restrained, and I was surprised how capable it was off-road. Like I don't typically think of those as off-road cars, but you could definitely do some light off-roading with it.
So I'm going to tell you a secret. So Chubba Chetta, longtime editor of Car and Driver, a guy local to me now, a guy that I've gotten to know a little bit through our map, our equivalent of the Whopper or whatever.
Whopper. Yeah.
Right.
Of the supersize.
He's got one of those at home.
You're kidding.
He actually bought one. So that's got to mean something, right?
It's always interesting to me to find out what the automotive journalists are buying, because with all the cars that you get to drive, like for them to pick one and commit to it themselves, that always makes me go like, okay, there's something there. The Gravity was really fun to experience. We got to drive that together, I think, at the auto show last year.
Yeah. I liked it.
And I've said a million times when we got in the air 2 years ago, I was like, I'm home. This is the best thing ever.
Yeah. It's a very pleasant space. Right?
It is very it just feels very welcoming. And I got to do launch control in the Gravity, which was super fun, to the point where like you feel it in your eyeballs. It's just, the whole thing was great. And they had really nice storage in the console too, like just, little creature comforts. The Telluride actually reminded me of kind of a Range Rover and also Rivian-esque, super comfortable seats. Had a squared off steering wheel, which several of the cars had. So the first day that took a little getting used to.
Sure.
But it had a bunch of different drive modes, had great hill descent control. The funny thing was when I put it in mud mode, it stiffens the seat under you. And so I was like, what is happening? So, it's an immersive experience.
You got to be careful with mud mode. We were in LA when they launched that thing, if you recall.
Yes, at the auto show.
It was quite, very Range Rover-like, and I've yet to drive one, but I was a big fan of the previous one. I thought it was a lot of vehicle for the money. They're hugely popular here in Colorado, I think for good reason. And so I'm excited to drive that new one.
Yeah, well, and this one was it was kind of a matte gold, so I think that added to the Range Rover look of this one, because every time I walked by the back of it, like especially out of the corner of your eye, you're like, I see what you were going for. The Honda Pilot was super confident on the go-kart track.
I think those are great vehicles. Yeah.
It was great. The interior was nice. And then the Sportage was comfortable, and it had really nice exit graphics and music, which was like a nice little, send you on your way. It was funny. There were a few of the cars that had, when you would turn it off, this graphic and this little tune would go, would play, and the graphic would go across the screen. And it's like, well, I didn't know I needed that, but I wouldn't complain about it.
No, but you better like it, right? Because if you don't, it's going to be 5 years of misery.
I know. I thought about that. I'm like, but can you turn this off? And I mean, and that applies to anything, not picking on that car, but it was a nice touch. And it was like, it kind of sends you on your way with a smile. And it did the whole course, like off-road, on-road, all of that, did it just fine. The RAV4 surprised me. It felt very solid. It had an impressively nice interior. The controls were intuitive, and it did fantastically off-road.
Yeah, they finally have good seats in those things too.
Yeah, they were super comfortable. And it had these nice little, it was, I think because it was the EV or a hybrid, it had these little like rose gold touches, which I think is one of their, design designators, but it gave it a luxurious feel. The Palisade was super solid under hard braking. Felt really solid overall. Had some cool details on the seats. Great cameras. Went up the hills effortlessly. The Trail Seeker, I could not stop smiling. It was just so good all around. Did have a squared off wheel that was like took a little bit of getting used to, but had a really sleek interior, fantastic acceleration, super solid hardline braking. Great handling on the autocross and the go-kart tracks, super precise steering. Like that was the one where I'm like, okay, Subaru is just killing it these days. The Outback, again, good handling, solid braking. Like all three of the Subarus were great. And that was a wilderness. So it made me feel like
I've spent some time in that. You know, that's one of those cars where, you know, it doesn't really scream in any way, right? But when presented like that in a line of others, at least I found myself coming back to that. It was kind of familiar. It was just kind of a lot of glass. It was just, you know, it was just kind of felt like home or something.
I was going to say, like, you feel like you're coming home in a way.
Yeah.
And we've been lucky to have other Subarus. And so there is an element of like, oh, I know this one.
Yeah.
But in a good way where you're like, oh, I'm happy to be back here.
Yeah.
And it was
even
nice
with the
get,
CVT transmission, it's a good car.
Right. But it was nice to get in that, you know, because there was a lot, like I always test, you know, you try to make all the adjustments, like adjust the mirrors, adjust the climate, get your seat adjusted the way you want it. Inevitably, you'll forget one of those every so often. And like, how intuitive is it to fix that while you're driving? So it's nice to know like, oh, I know where the controls are in all the Subarus for the most part, or you know generally their framework so you can figure it out. So it was nice to drive that. The two Genesis, the GV80s were just so good. I mean, Ryan, as you know, you've gotten to have some experience with those, and it has like a beautiful interior. The acceleration and braking were great. They sounded really good. Great on the go-kart track. Super confident on gravel. Good ground clearance, and the hill descent control is great. That was another one where when I was partway done with the off-road course in the first one, because they had a black and then a coupe. And I was like, okay, this is really good, at least for this light off-roading that we were doing. I don't know that I would take my own if I went and got a brand new one just because of
those beautiful wheels.
Like it's such a nice car, but it was a really interesting thought process to kind of think about that throughout the day. Like none of these cars are cheap. Some are more expensive than others, but you know, like they're also really fun. And what especially car enthusiasts love to do is enjoy the cars. So it's like, where's the happy medium of you want to be able to enjoy the car, but also have something nice for every day. And it's, you know, especially cars that you don't typically think of as being off-roaders. So it was an interesting thought experiment.
What are you taking home?
So believe it or not, the Tiguan.
I think that car is great. The new one is great. It's got a wonderful interior. The only thing I don't like about it, at least here at altitude, there's a bit of a hesitation with the turbo motor until it builds up boost. That drives me nuts, but the interior is fantastic, very Audi-like. I think it's a good-looking thing. The dynamics are great. So I am glad to be seconded in that opinion.
I know. Well, and I found this shirt, so I was like, well, that's what I'm wearing for the show. I loved it, and I went into it without like no preconceived notions one way or another, no expectations. I got out of it, and I immediately wanted to get back in it. Super sleek, very elevated interior, like really high-end looking. I think it has a nice graphic either when you get in or out again, which is apparently the way to my heart.
Dan, I don't think you've driven one of these, but it is much closer to your Audi SQ5 than it is to, you know, my old 2017 Tiguan that I had for years. It's like, you know, that was a great car in its own way, but this is just a much, much more modern, you know, upscale interior, that kind of thing. Again, much more like your Audi than you know, the Volkswagens of yore. So
I'm just thinking, the last cruise show, didn't we criticize VW for leaving their GTI brethren behind? And in actual fact, they've just changed to a different audience.
Yeah, I guess that's
Yeah, I
what
think you're right.
yeah.
I mean, we have definitely had some thoughts about Volkswagen, haven't we? And I was thinking about you guys, and I was thinking about Ryan. Obviously, you had a Tiguan of previous generation. And it's, we've commented like you can tell when a car between models makes a giant leap forward. And I think this is a perfect example
Yeah,
of that when
yeah.
you compare it to the previous one. I mean, it felt like a luxury car.
Interestingly, talking about changing for the audience, that version I had 2017, I think that model went through 18 or something, but that was old when we got it, right? I think that had come out in Europe in like 2009 or something. And interestingly, that car was available with a manual, at least for 2 or 3 years here in the States, but only as a front wheel drive, which is, something
not
that
gonna work in the
didn't do it
snow.
for us. But yeah, I don't know how many of them they actually made, but again, they have, they've changed for the times, I guess, but, not that long ago, you could get a manual in a Tiguan, and
That's pretty awesome. Had
yeah,
I known,
now you
maybe I
can't
would
get a
have one of
manual in a
those.
GTI, but
I know.
go figure.
I know. But yeah,
Did the
and it
rest
had.
of the press agree with you on the choice?
So we didn't really like. Everybody would kind of like we'd sort of share throughout the day, like, oh, what'd you just drive or whatever. At least I didn't. I kind of wanted to keep my votes pristine. It's like, the jury's not supposed to discuss the case. Oh, and I have to say the massage seats in the Tiguan were
Really?
top
I
notch.
didn't even know they had that. Wow.
Yeah, they were.
And there is a
amazing.
difference between the quality of the massage from one mark to the next.
Right.
Some are just kind of annoying, and others are
just
quite
like,
nice.
Look, we're telling you it's a massage.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it was really good. Yeah. So to wrap this up, would you like to hear the winners?
Yeah.
Drum roll,
I would
please.
not have predicted the Volkswagen necessarily. But
Right.
I hope it's
Well,
in there.
that was my winner.
Yeah.
And then we have the official winners.
Okay.
Okay, so the 2-row family SUV was the 2026 Subaru Trailseeker Limited.
Okay,
The 3-row family SUV was the Kia Telluride.
Yeah.
Luxury SUV was the Lucid Gravity. The pickup truck, because we only had one, even though it probably would have won anyway, was the Ram 1500
Sure.
Warlock Crew Cab 4x4. The electrified activity vehicle was the Trailseeker. The extreme capability vehicle was the Jeep Wrangler Moab. Best value Northwest outdoor activity vehicle was the Toyota RAV4 Hybrid Woodland. And the Northwest Outdoor Activity Vehicle of the Year grand prize winner was the Subaru Trailseeker Limited.
Interesting.
Yep.
Wow.
So,
Yeah.
Lindsay, I've got the RMAP, the Rocky Mountain Automotive Press equivalent of the event you just did
Yeah,
here in about
we
3 weeks,
talked
and I
about
imagine
that.
it'll be many of the same cars. So we will definitely have to compare notes. The problem
Yes.
is we always get like one Land Rover Defender, and that just throws me off for the whole day.
I was thinking about that because we did not have one. And I'm like,
Okay.
had we had one?
Yeah. That's an impressive lineup. It wasn't a bad one in the bunch. So
No, it was really fun, very cool variety. And it was really fun to drive those cars in that environment and like put them through the paces in a way that you wouldn't normally necessarily. So yes, two
Nice.
wonderful
Well,
things.
you are onto something special when you get noticed for your work and then get commissioned to do new work. And I don't know if we're allowed to talk about it or not, Ryan, but you've been commissioned to write some new articles. Are you allowed to say who for? And
I think so. Yeah. The good folks at Avance magazine have brought me in to do a couple of features for the fall 2026 issue.
Amazing.
And so it was a busy week. The first one, I went out in your neck of the woods, Dan. I got to see you briefly, but I got to spend the afternoon with the legend that is Bruce Meyer. And I know Bruce a little bit. He was on my previous podcast, The Steering Committee, a few years back, and I know him through the Colorado Grand and seemed to run into him a lot and consider him a friend, really nice guy. And he was so kind to spend the afternoon with me and a photographer by the name of Brandon Faith. You should check out his work. He's a great follow on Instagram, Baggin, I think, _photos. He's got a really interesting backstory as well. I don't have the time to get into that today, but he and I had a wonderful afternoon with Bruce. The idea was we were going to take out one of his analog cars, and if you know his collection, you know he has some of the best cars in the world, right? He has the very first Roof Yellowbird. He has the very first Cobra 427, right? Shelby Cobra.
First production one,
yeah. He's CSX 001 or whatever. You know, he's got.
I think Carol had the first one, but
the first was that 000 or something,
right? But it wasn't a production one. Yeah, Bruce. Right. Yeah, and it has a one on the hood, right?
It does. He's got some really significant Ferraris. He's got this beautiful Bizzarini. He's got hot rods. And I even wore my yellow Adidas, hoping he'd take out that damn Roof Yellowbird. But when we showed up, the plan was to take out one of his 32 Ford Coupes. And now he's got more than one. He I think drove a 32 Ford Coupe at Bonneville to 200 miles an hour. This wasn't that car. We took out this 32 Ford Coupe that he had driven to Canada recently and back, which is really saying something. So
recently.
32 Ford Coupe, chopped. It's got about 3 inches of windshield of glass all around. He and I drove this thing up, I guess it's Beverly Boulevard to Mel's Diner, the iconic Mel's Diner. Did some photos with Brandon. Pro tip, if Bruce ever says you should go to Mel's Diner and then asks you what you ordered when you return, please don't disappoint him like I did and say the smoothie. Bruce is not a smoothie kind of guy.
No.
But, you're working, as much as I wanted a smash burger or something, it's just, I had a long day ahead of me, but,
I got the pastrami with an egg on it, Bruce. That's
maybe a little sauerkraut on the side, Let me tell you, you've not lived until you have driven in rush hour traffic in a 32 Ford Coupe hot rod, just rumbling away, through Beverly Hills, right? To Mel's Diner with Mr. Bruce Meyer.
It's engineered for perfection. Every contour sculpted for uninterrupted motion. Wider, smoother, more refined, and drives like a dream. Introducing the 2026 E470. Experience the difference.
He's such a great guy. He's so generous. Shout out to his collection manager too, Tom Kenny, who's just a hell of a nice guy. And it's just so fun spending time in that space with those cars. I mean, it's I don't know, spiritual's not the word, but it's very special to just sort of be in that, share that air with those cars. And Bruce is just such a neat guy as well. And so we had a nice conversation. Watch out for the fall edition of Avance magazine for the full article. I think the photos are going to be spectacular, all shot on film. Ooh, so I think it's just going to be a really cool look. I'm very excited to. Well, I've got to write the damn article first, but I promise you it's going to be a really good one.
No, it's going to be great.
But it was just a great trip. It was quick, 48 hours. Got to see you, Dan. Got to spend some time at the Peterson, and always get the very special behind the scenes tour, which I appreciate. And also got to see our business manager / fourth,
Musketeer.
talking head, Michael Lasasso. What's that?
Musketeer, fourth
That's
Musketeer.
right. Yeah,
Yes.
Definitely. And we had a really nice lunch. So Michael lives in El Segundo. I've been to El Segundo a million times, but I had never been to, I think they call it the Old Town part of El Segundo. Oh. So, every day is a school day. Michael's got this really great house in sort of the older part of town. So if you know El Segundo, it's kind of hemmed in. Like there are the office buildings on one end, like Mattel is there. I think Boeing is there. You've got LAX on the other side. Then you've got like a big refinery from like 1912 that's still there, refining, I guess. And then you've got the one side you can actually enter El Segundo in or by. And it was fantastic. It's like a movie set or like this like little town within, the middle of LA.
Tucked away.
Yeah, it's got like a town square with like a gazebo. It's got like an old movie theater. It's got old corner bars. And apparently they do film a lot of movies there for obvious reasons.
I was going to say, did you make a left turn and end up on the Gilmore Girls?
Yeah, totally.
Stars Hollow?
Well, that's what was eerie about it. It's like I've been here 1,000 times, but we had can't remember the name of the place, but had a great lunch. Had a great dinner with you, Dan. I don't want to call it a taco joint because it was upscale dining. It was fine dining.
Cinco de Mayo, wasn't it?
Cinco de Mayo.
Oh, that's right.
Free shots. It was a
you
lot
have to
of fun.
celebrate.
have to celebrate. Genesis, again, was kind enough to provide me with a G90 Black. So this is the big sedan. This is the S-Class competitor while I was in LA. And that's a lot of vehicle to pilot around Los Angeles, but I wouldn't have wanted it any other way. Supremely comfortable, again, massaging seats, pumps out the perfume. It was, again, the very much the calming, sort of atmosphere that you want for 48 busy hours in LA. Took it down to Palos Verdes by the
nice.
lighthouse. I had visions of taking pictures of the car next to the lighthouse, and then I realized you can't get anywhere near the lighthouse, but it was a wonderful trip. You spend time with Bruce, and like I said, I've done a few things with him, and it's one of those things you realize once you're gone how special that time really is that you spent. We're so fortunate to do what we do, to know these people that we know, to have these experiences that we have, but it's kind of snuck up on me a little bit, right? And, I'm on the plane going home and thinking how do you ever get into this situation?
Yeah.
Right? Or,
whose life is this?
Yeah. I'm in this car, this hot rod, which is where Bruce really started his, automotive enthusiasm, cutting through Beverly Hills, right? Surrounded by, exotic cars and Bentleys and, Porsches and all that, and how badass that is in this black 32 hot rod, just, loudest thing around, right? Pretty special, pretty awesome. And can't wait to try to encapsulate that experience into an article. So that was a fun trip. Yeah. And then,
well, it sounds like what was John Choldenko saying? He's given up on being cool. Like you said, you give up on being cool. It's like the definition of cool, though. Like you're not competing with the hypercars because there's no competition.
No, that's it. I think I peaked, it's, I think the pictures are going to be pretty fantastic too, and then I came home and had a few days off, before, we did another photo shoot for Avance magazine. Again, I don't think I'm speaking out of class here. But our friend, Tom Horan, chair of the Colorado Grand, has in his collection of many, many cool cars, an Alfaholics GTA-R. And if you don't know Alfaholics, it is very much what Singer is to Porsche, right? Alfaholics is to Alfa Romeo, and this is their top of the line car. I think the waiting period on these is like 10 years. This was one of the earlier cars. It's all steel and aluminum, I think, versus some of the later cars, which are mostly carbon. This is a 240 horsepower, 1,800-pound car that is just gorgeous. It's painted in this Ferrari blue. I didn't get a ton of time to really open it up. But we were up early, 6 a.m. for sunrise, this kind of thing. Another wonderful photographer, Justin Chan, got some amazing photos that I have seen because he shot on digital. I think the film's probably still being processed.
That's the trade-off,
that's how it goes. But fun morning. Shout out to Matt Hunter who drove our photo car as well. And again, one of those pinch me moments. I'm behind the wheel of this very expensive, very special Alfaholics, car, desperately trying to, maneuver my big size 14s in the pedal box in a way that I'm not, burning out the clutch or anything like that. And just, it's going to be a great article again with some great photography and can't wait to share it when that comes out in fall as well. So Avance magazine, I appreciate them, throwing some work my way, I guess. Right. So
they do, cool. They do good stuff and they recognize talent when they see it. So I'm excited to read the articles.
You're kind of say that. Yeah, I'm excited. And Dan, you've also been busy.
Yes. So while you guys were having a boring time of it, I decided to do a bit of a road trip. So I went up to Laguna Seca a couple of weeks ago for the IMSA racing.
Oh, fun.
If you've driven from LA to Laguna, it's about 5 hours, 5.5 hours, depending on who's behind the wheel. So on the way up, I thought I would cut up the time, and I stopped at Morro Bay. And I don't know if you guys have been to Morro Bay?
I know it's beautiful, but I've never been.
Yeah.
So it's a beautiful bay with a big haystack rock out in the water. What I didn't know was this was Friday night. Saturday morning was the Morro Bay car show. So
Surprise.
I pulled up at my hotel, and there was some beautiful muscle cars. We're talking really lovely muscle cars. What wasn't so lovely was at 4 a.m. the as they started to place the bastards.
Yeah.
So I got a very early start the next day to get up to Laguna Seca, which was obviously not intentional. But what it did mean is that I got to take the highway, the coast road, super early. So I hit that road about 7 a.m. and it was a perfect drive. You remember these perfect drives, right? Where you just
That never happened. Yeah.
everything comes together. I mean, I was in my Audis. I wasn't in a sports car, but I was overtaking things. I was just enjoying the view, enjoying the road. And that was a perfect drive up to Laguna. There was a great weekend of racing going on.
Yeah.
I was lucky enough to spend some time with BMW. They kindly said to me, would I like to go on a hot lap? So I'd never been on the track at Laguna, believe it or not. I've been there so many times.
Right.
You know, I know where all the good viewing points are and everything, but I've never been on the track.
And now you know where all the actual good viewing points are.
That's right.
I know. I think I saw your
between.
post about this, and I really want to hear what it was like.
There's a video on my Instagram, and it was interesting. So this was an M4 with a very professional driver. I managed to get the front seat. I did offer the rear seat. I did offer the front seat to the two ladies that I traveled with. They wanted to stay together. They wanted to yell together, and apparently they've created some Instagram moments as a result. But I was in the front seat with my glasses on, my Meta glasses. No one prepares you for the corkscrew.
Nope.
The corkscrew is a climb to a blind corner.
Serious
So you literally
altitude too.
get to the top. It's a blind corner. It's a leap of faith, and then you drop 7 stories. 7 stories. So that's like 3 houses in height.
Right.
Yeah.
In the space of about
At speed.
2 seconds. Yeah.
You see the nose of your car pointed up.
Right in the air. Like
it's the most disconcerting. You're just like, what are we? All right, here we go.
So it was an amazing experience. A big thank you to BMW North America for putting me in the seat. And
that's awesome.
Dan, I've only ever been a spectator there, and I was shocked at just the geography as a spectator. Someday I'll do it, but I cannot imagine what that's like behind the wheel. They don't build tracks like that anymore. They just don't. Right. And it doesn't translate in photos or video games or anything like that.
Nope.
It is just one of the iconic, I guess, turns in the world. It's really special. I'm so glad you got to do that. That's so cool.
And you walk away with a better appreciation for these drivers. Like, I wish I could drive at 50% how good that driver was that took me around that track.
Yeah.
Like 50%, I'd be happy.
Yeah.
But yeah. No, it was a fun weekend, and it was it was a good event, and good to see some few familiar faces at the track. So
nice.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Lindsey, you've driven that.
So I got to be a passenger in the Shelby. I haven't driven it. Long story. I was supposed to drive it a couple of years ago, and it did not. There was a series of unfortunate events. But when in 1997 they were honoring Shelby as one of the featured marks, and so I had helped my dad get the rear end back in the car, and so we got to do the parade laps. And he said, "All right, you helped, so you get the front seat." And I mean, like Dan said, like nothing prepares you for the corkscrew. We got to it, and I'm obviously not driving, but I remember like kind of all of us at the same time just going like, and then down you go.
29 years ago, and you remember it like it was yesterday. I know you, and you were 6 at the time, which
obviously. I mean, I was really in utero, but that's neither here nor there. Yeah.
Zygote Lindsey.
Yeah. I mean, truly, I can picture the nose of the car and just sky.
That's so
cool. I think, and I think about like my dad had his 3 kids and one of my cousins in the car. So I'm like, I know what it felt like as the passenger. I can imagine what it feels like as the driver just in general. And then on top of that, you're like, and I have all my kids in the car and somebody else's child and whatever. Like,
what's the line from Stand By Me, my favorite movie, and Dan's, and possibly yours, Lindsey, but we got to savor these moments, right? I mean, I'm butchering that, but they're special, right? Whether it's spending time with Bruce, whether it's, the corkscrew at Laguna, whether it's piloting a Subaru through the mud. Just we're so fortunate to have these experiences, right?
Yeah. Well, and you make a good point. Like, I didn't think about, I mean, that was coming up on 30 years ago. And I truly do remember it, you know, and I would imagine Dan's going to remember it forever. I mean, because there is no way to prep either. So it sort of compounds the the impression that it makes on you.
Yeah.
Anyway, I've been away from Washington State for a year now.
Yeah, which is hard to
and
believe.
It sounds like the folks up there are making some crazy moves with their planning of road and infrastructure just outside of Kirkland. Wasn't that the best link ever? Come on.
The master of the segue.
Yeah. The folks, so there's a little town just outside Seattle called Kirkland, Lindsey, and it sounds like they've gone a bit batshit crazy with their road infrastructure.
Yeah. Well, and I always tell people, you know, they ask about the weather and the sort of geography and the scenery. And I always say, well, we're on the same latitude as England. So the scenery looks the same. I remember when I first came here, I'm like, this
That's why you like
England
it, Dan.
with all the trees, right? The weather's very similar.
Yeah.
And I think they've just taken the next logical step, which is they're going to transform all the intersections into roundabouts, apparently. And so Kirkland is now the proud owner of, and real Brits, and Dan, I consider you in this group, it's not a true triple roundabout in the sense that one doesn't feed directly into the other. But in the States, for all intents and purposes, they just put in a triple roundabout in Kirkland, which, like, people in the States have trouble with one single lane roundabout. I mean, so they're like, we're just going to really mess everything up. And it's the intersections that they have redone were functioning perfectly fine in terms of, like, it was something I drove multiple times a day, every day. Never an issue. This project is probably going to be 3 years long. I think we're a year and a half or two into it. It's been like nonstop chaos leading up to this point, where, like, the number of times that my daughter and I would come back from the airport and the off ramp was completely changed and it's dark and whatever. I'm amazed there weren't more accidents while they were putting this together. So they've now, instead of just having, we used to have cloverleaf on and off ramps to the freeway. They have taken those completely out. They dug out under the freeway to put in these roundabouts, taken out all the traffic lights, as you'd imagine. I just didn't realize this was part of the project. And they've put in, there's a roundabout like under the freeway, and then there's one on either side of the freeway. And it's just madness. And and it's like, to compound the absurdity of it, the Kirkland city government is posting on Instagram. They're like, great news. The roundabouts are ready to go. Just remember to follow the signs and pick the lane you need to be in. And I'm like, no, but that's what people can't do. That is the essence of why it's such a difficult thing here.
Yeah, I mean, we just didn't grow up with this.
Right. We didn't grow up.
No, it's just that we didn't grow up with it. And, you know, at Wisconsin, where, you know, I was born and where my, you know, family all lives, they've gone, you know, roundabout crazy as well. And it's just, they take up so much land relative to, you know, the alternatives. It's just, you know, if that's what you're used to, if that's what's always been, they're wonderful. But incidentally, the only place here in Denver that I can think of that has 3 in a row like that is the entrance to our Costco, Kirkland. Get it? I think there's a conspiracy here, right?
Segues are getting better as we go through.
I know. It's all part of a grand plan. And we're going to, the glitch in the matrix as we figured it out right here on that car show.
That's it. I think I'm a pretty good driver, but I was daydreaming the other day, and I stopped, you know, short in one of those because I wasn't paying attention, and there was someone approaching at just the right time, and I had to sort of process, like, well, who gets to go and this kind of thing. So it's just, it seems like make work. It seems, you know, it seems like
it's definitely busy work. Like, we're just creating, I mean, and, you know, obviously the contractors are happy to laugh all the way to the bank, but I mean, I went through it twice yesterday just because I'm like, I got to go check it out. I mean, I was sort of morbidly curious because I'm like, this is a mess. I mean, like, we were talking about it at my house, and it is a major, like, it's a major, you know, intersection with the freeway, major freeway access right there. It's a major road through town. Like, it's a huge part of getting around here. And our gut reaction was like, well, I guess we have to find alternate routes because that's going to be a nightmare. And now we have to find alternate routes away from this, what used to be a very convenient thoroughfare. I can't even imagine what it's going to be like at rush hour. I went through it in the middle of the day, and there were people you could tell that had been stuck on the sides trying to figure out how to get into the roundabout. You're like, well,
Dan, learn us a thing or two here about roundabouts, because isn't it in European Vacation where they find themselves in a roundabout that just sort of keeps going roundabout? Is that in the UK or is that somewhere else?
I was going to say, so there's a couple of things. Firstly, I think the next step in the master plan is that auto collision repair centers are going to sponsor those roundabouts.
right.
Yeah.
Mark my words.
Yeah.
There is something in a place called Swindon called
That's
the
the one.
Magic Roundabout.
That's right.
And we'll get Ryan to insert a picture of said Magic Roundabout. It is one major roundabout with 8 roundabouts on the outside of the one roundabout.
That
It's
just seems
a
like
bloody
an
nightmare.
evil joke. Yeah.
Yeah.
So even as a
Magic
Brit, that's a
roundabout.
nightmare for you. Okay,
Yes.
so that's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
That's a bridge or a roundabout too far.
Yeah.
Very much so.
roundabout
So
too far. Well,
you've got it bad, but you haven't got it really bad, Lindsay.
Right. Well, I kept thinking of, have you driven the Scilly Isles in London? And that's a double
Yes.
one. But
Yeah.
that was all I kept thinking was like, we've got our very own Scilly Isles with a bonus extra nightmare on the end.
Yeah.
But that's an actual double roundabout where the roundabouts are connected to each other.
We do love our roundabouts, though. I remember a few years ago, just outside where I grew up, there was a famous artiste, and he would put different art in the middle of the roundabout at night. So you would appear like the next day and suddenly be surprised because there's a guy rowing a boat. Or,
That's what you need. Yeah.
yeah,
Right.
maybe you and Tori can go and create some art.
Well, it's funny that you and he had the same thought. He was like, the only people that are going to win are the auto collision repair shops here.
Right.
I mean, at
Yeah,
least
it's
initially,
fun, though.
it's just such a strange, it's one of those things where it's like, we've all been in companies or whatever where they're like, ooh, the budget, end of the year budget's coming up. We got to spend this money. We're like, this feels like the most enormous public example of like, we got to spend this money or we're going to lose it.
Yeah.
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 I'm impressed you called it a roundabout, not a traffic circle. So that's 10 points
Right.
to you, Lindsay.
Well, it was one of those things where it was very funny when I was driving a lot of the SUVs at Mudfest, and I kept being grateful for my track experience because I knew I knew what a lot of the markers meant on the go-kart track. And I kept thinking like, this is not a way that I ever thought I would be applying these skills. And it was the same thing. Like I was grateful for the time that I've spent in England when I was trying to drive these roundabouts yesterday. Didn't think I'd be applying those skills here, but
At least your
very
steering
grateful.
wheel's on the correct side of the car.
Yeah,
Advanced training from England. Can we talk about customer loyalty?
we can.
So this was a recent report I saw, and slightly inspired by a conversation I had with someone a few years ago. So I'm going to say it's a few years ago. It may not be current, but when I was talking to that individual, he had recently left McLaren. And he said the customer retention for McLaren, so retention defined as a customer buying a second McLaren, so selling the
Right.
first one, buying a second, was less than 5%.
Wow.
That is shocking,
Wow.
even from McLaren.
On the flip side of that, I've got a list of the most loyal brands. So,
Can I guess?
yes, so let's do
And
the
this
top
is going to add
three.
insult to injury. It's probably General Motors.
Do you know what? General Motors isn't even on the top 20.
Oh, no.
It's
what is
obviously
interesting-
Ford.
Ford are at 6.
There
Okay.
you
So,
go.
and these are percentage numbers. So I'm wondering whether if you get above 60%, so there's only 2 brands that are above
Okay.
60%,
Okay.
does that officially become a cult?
Well, it depends. Is it Tesla?
Is one of them Porsche?
Tesla is at number 1.
Okay. Then
so,
yes.
So the cult of Tesla are at 61.1% loyalty.
Wow.
That's
So
impressive.
pretty damn high. Porsche made it in, but only at 17.
Is
So
it
they have
top
a
20 or whatever?
46.7. Yeah, this is a top 20.
Okay.
46.7
BMW?
for Porsche. Well, I think you guys need to guess the top 3,
Okay,
and we've
yeah.
mentioned
Lexus.
one of the
Okay.
top 3 a lot.
Lexus has got to be up there.
No,
No.
Toyota?
Oh, Toyota's
Toyota
good.
at number 3.
Yeah.
So we have Tesla, something,
Who are we
Toyota.
missing? Honda.
Number 5.
Okay.
Is it domestic?
That's
No.
okay. Okay. Mercedes-Benz?
Number 10. We could be here all night.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay, we each
Maybe you
get
should
one
just
more
tell us,
guess,
Dan.
and then you have to tell us.
Well, you guys have mentioned them numerous times tonight.
Subaru.
Subaru at number 2.
Ah,
So Tesla is 61.1%. Subaru is 60.5%. So that's above
impressive.
60. Is there a
Yeah.
cult of Subaru?
yeah. Yes,
I
in
think
Colorado
you could argue
there
that
is.
there's like a healthy cult of Subaru.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Toyota is at 59.9. And at number 4 is an Italian sports car, Ferrari.
Okay.
So
Nice.
the top 5 round out: Tesla, Subaru, Toyota, Ferrari,
Okay.
and then Honda.
Well, is that loyalty or is that some sort of forced loyalty? If you want to buy another, you
Hotel
got to buy
California
it.
of
That's just,
Ferrari.
you can't just buy one. Yeah.
Maybe. Well, that actually brings me on to my second chart.
Yeah.
The Ferrari are the best in the world at making profit per car. Right? It's a known fact. They do 2 things really well, and they're publicly knowledgeable about this. The first thing is they always make 2 less cars than they have demand for, creating a market demand. And secondly, they make the highest profit per car of any car company in the world. So this second report talks about how many cars do a manufacturer have to sell to achieve the profit levels of one Ferrari. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yes.
So which other companies are masters of making profit over their costs, right?
Yeah.
So do you want to guess on the top 3?
Yeah, I'll
or
guess.
shall I? Okay.
I think Porsche is nearing Ferrari.
Nowhere near. Porsche
Nowhere near.
isn't even on the list.
Okay. Interesting.
Toyota.
I don't know. Sorry, I take that back. Porsche is halfway down the list, so about 15.
All right. Give them 5 years. They're going to be number 2. You watch.
There we go.
They're,
Lindsey.
they're doing their best to squeeze us.
So is
Well, I
Toyota
think
in
the
there?
thing. Well, I think just let me clarify. I think
Yeah.
the thing with Porsche is it's not the manufacturer that's making the profit; it's the dealerships.
Yeah, good
because they're
point,
putting the
good point.
aftermarket cost in,
Yeah,
right?
that's a good point. Okay. So
So-
who would that be?
So, Lindsay, your guess was
Toyota.
no. So the top 3 are all. Well, I guess 2 I would say are luxury,
Okay.
and 1 is not luxury.
They're good on the list. Now I'm curious.
Okay. So
Ryan's
at number
giving up.
1. Yeah. Did you want one more guess, Lindsay? Are you less of a garlic eating surrender monkey?
That might be instantly my new favorite insult.
There we go.
It's the name of the
what
episode, if nothing else.
It's what groundskeeper Willie calls the French.
Garlic eating surrender monkeys. We are here
Yeah,
for
gosh.
you. Let's see. BMW.
A few moments later,
Yeah, exactly.
they came in at number 4.
Citroen.
So BMW have to sell
But not too far off.
55 cars. They have to sell 55 cars to achieve the same level of profit. So that gives you an idea of the sort of volumes
scale.
we're talking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So number 1, it's our friends at Jaguar Land Rover. They have to sell 12 cars in order to...
Well, that's all they sold, Dan. So I think this is throwing off the numbers.
Well, no, this is
Right.
Jaguar Land Rover, not just Jaguar.
Right. That's right. We all know Defender's killing it. So
And the majority of that will be Range Rovers that are highly
right.
spec'd and everything else,
that's right.
right?
That's
Yeah.
right.
So at number 2, and they have to sell 38 cars, and I don't really believe this, it's Tesla.
Okay, but
Really?
you know why? Have you been in a 2026 Model 3 versus a 2012 or 15 or whatever it is when they first came out?
No, go on.
Quality
I was
different.
going to say, have they streamlined
They're
their efficiency?
Do you remember getting in one of those early cars? I'll never forget the first time I drove one, flew into LAX, got one from Hertz. I was so excited, had that beautiful interior. All the materials were great. Had the wood across the dash. Everything just felt like a luxury car. Fast forward to now, and I got in a brand new one. We were very excited to see one come up as a lift. And what used to be wood, what used to be fabric, cheap, shiny plastic now, right? It was shocking. It was jarring, how far, the Tesla Model 3 had fallen. And so I think if they're finding such profit, that's where they're finding it.
Yeah.
They're
So
gold.
here's your-
There's gold up. They're up there in them plastic hills, Dan. It's
Well, here's your That Car Show top tip: buy shares in Tesla.
There you go.
right?
Yeah.
And at number 3, with 45 cars, so you have to sell 45 cars to achieve the same level of profit as a one Ferrari. It's Mercedes-Benz.
Interesting.
So it's super interesting. But I think
So-
we need...
Sorry to interrupt, but should we look at this list as sort of inverse to the cars we want to buy? Because, you mentioned Mercedes-Benz and you think of, a 124, right, from the 90s or whatever, early 90s, and just what a tank that was versus a much more modern, but much less tank-like modern Mercedes-Benz. I mean, should we be looking at the bottom of the list for cars that we want to actually buy ourselves? I'm curious, like what's just a good thing?
I was thinking more is there more room for negotiation? Based on the fact that they're making more profit per car.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think we need to pour one out for Mazda because Mazda needs to sell. Is everyone sat down? Mazda needs to sell, and this is probably their annual sales figure. They need to sell 3,498 cars to achieve the same level of profit as one Ferrari.
Poor Mazda. They're the real Japanese enthusiast brand. Have always been they are now, but I don't know how they compete because they're just exponentially smaller, right, than the domestic competition. But that's a shocking number. I didn't realize that things were so bleak for them.
A lot of cars.
Are they going to be okay, Mazda?
People are buying their cars still, aren't they?
I mean, they're great. They're really wonderful cars in many, many ways, right? I mean, it's give me a CX-5,
yeah,
right, versus a Ford Escape or something. CX-5, all day long. I think the interior design is great. I think that's really. What can they change to
Maybe
change
sell
that? Because
themselves to Tesla.
yeah.
Right.
they don't have a lot of EVs, Dan. Right?
No,
I mean,
right.
right? And so I would think that the profit margin on an EV is naturally going to be much greater.
Less moving parts, right?
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
And do they have an EV? Does Mazda have an EV?
I think just hybrid.
Yeah.
I think.
Huh.
Porsche had to sell 176 cars.
Well, that's considering,
So,
they're the closest thing probably to Ferrari in price and, compared to most of the others, right?
Yeah.
That's,
But Volkswagen were 126 cars.
okay.
They're doing all right.
Not
General
bad.
Motors, 74 cars.
Really?
So that's a lot of Corvettes.
Yeah. Well, now that in Corvettes, they've really bumped the prices up in the Corvette, right? Which I think was smart. This perceived value too, which
Right.
is
Unless they're going over the hill at Laguna Seca without the brakes working. We've all seen that video.
Yes.
Yes, we have. So anyway, that was the list. I think it's time for some consumer advice.
Okay.
Lindsey shared a news story with us that was a bulletin announcement internal at Toyota. So do you want to tell us a little bit, Lindsey, about what that was all about?
So they sent out a service bulletin telling the service departments which oil they could substitute in the short term because the Shell refinery in Qatar is completely offline. And what is it? Shell and maybe Mobil. I'm not remembering both correctly, but 2 of the oil companies had let Costco and Walmart know that they have no product packaged to send. So there likely will be empty shelves in the future. So, I was thinking about, and then I know, Dan, you shared you had bought some oil. I have a car that's going to need an oil change before too long. And I started thinking should we go stockpile? But I feel like then you could create like a run on the bank, basically, if everybody runs out and buys oil, just in case. It could be like, is motor oil the new toilet paper?
Yeah. Are these weights specific to Toyota or?
Yeah, it was just the idea that Toyota knows that they are anticipating a significant shortage. And so they've looked at it and said okay, we obviously want to keep servicing people's cars and we want people to be able to keep driving them. So temporarily, here's what you can substitute. Yeah, it was like,
that's you don't want to substitute an oil. That's not something you want to do. In a modern engine with the tolerances and that's
That's why it was like, it's got to be pretty desperate if they're like, okay, so on a temporary basis, I want to say it was like 8 weight and 16 weight, and they were saying you could substitute 20 weight for it. But
Well, doesn't that depend on where you are and a number of other factors?
I think you have to think that Toyota are masters of global supply chain, right? Obviously, they probably sell more cars than pretty much anyone.
Right.
So if they are thinking ahead, then potentially, I'm going to do a road trip in the Audi again. So I just bought a quart of oil, just thinking
smart.
ahead. But maybe it does make sense to just get in your favorite brand of oil just in case, especially if you have to do an oil change, obviously, because there's a lot more consumables required for that than there are just to top up.
Yeah, I had this moment of like, oh, that oil change that I maybe wasn't going to schedule right away, maybe that goes to the top of the list and is done more quickly than I was anticipating.
So much winning these days, guys. So much winning.
Yeah. But it's interesting because also there's been a significant uptake in electric car sales.
Which is not what I want with a lease on an EV coming up.
Right.
Coming due here in a couple of months. I was hoping for another discount, like in the days of
help a guy
yore,
out, right?
$200 leases. So.
You can go back into a Tiguan.
Perhaps we will. It seems like
I'm just here to answer that question for you, Ryan. I went and did the research, and the answer is back to Tiguan you go.
with a stage 1 tune. Now we're talking.
There you go.
Some sort of cob tune on it.
That's right. That's right.
I'll lend you one of my SQ5 badges. You can stick that on the back. Job's a good one.
Perfect. Problem solved.
Can I?
Yeah.
Well, real quick, I got to give a shout out. I drove an Audi that I had never driven before. So we have a friend of the show named Jaden, who's a listener who I had lunch with a couple days back, had a really nice lunch, but he rolled up in is it the e-tron RS or the RS e-tron GT?
I think it's the e-tron RS. Yeah.
That's 0 to 60 in 2.1 seconds. I got back in my Polestar and it felt slow. A hell of a car. Really impressed. And apparently they can be picked up used for about $45,000 or $50,000. So when this
and I think they look.
goes back,
I love those. Whenever I see
They
them
look
on the
better than
road,
Taycan.
they really do. Every time I see them, I'm like, that's the way to go.
really cool
More
car.
consumer
And
advice.
get yourself one of these e-tron GTs. A hell of a thing. I mean, I did all the launches in that car. It was a fun post-launch test drive. So anyway,
It was
launch.
Yeah.
that's right.
You were launching and lunching with the best of them.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Good car.
Well, thanks.
Never driven one
You made
before.
Ryan's week, which was, or last week.
It's been a pretty good week too.
I was going to say,
7 days, right? So
You could do
very
worse,
good
for
topic.
sure.
Do you think Molly would take one for the school run?
It's very wide, right?
Yes.
Compared
They are,
to they're what do I want to liken to? It's this one is in white, so from a distance it's kind of like a bar of soap after you've used it a few times. I mean, it was just kind of had the curves and it was low and it was just so it might be too much car for us, but I was impressed. I'd get into so much trouble with that car. 2.1 seconds, guys. That's hypercar fast.
Yeah, it's
crazy.
ticket writing, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's funny if it's exactly the same size as the Taycan because they're both based on the same platform, right?
Yeah.
Right.
If it's the same size, that is the same size as a current Range Rover.
Wow.
Footprint, like,
Yeah.
It's a lot of car, and I think because they're so low, they may be seen bigger. This one had a full carbon roof, no sunroof or anything. So but it was not a small car, and yet you give up a lot of room in the back because of that coupe-like profile, or that soap-like profile.
Yeah.
But so I don't know if it's
you
going
just
to be
know
for
that
us. But
in the designer meeting, they're like, okay, guys, just imagine bar of soap.
very good bar of soap, but maybe too much vehicle for the Barkey Daily. So.
Wow. So is it the same wheelbase as a Range Rover?
I don't know. I just know that the physical size.
Like
I had one of the very first Taycans to review for the Porsche magazine many years ago, and it was when I did my research, it was the same size as a Range Rover. So
That's wild.
it is.
Well, it
crazy.
just tells you how much design impacts your perception of like size, and we've talked about color and how that impacts how you experience a design. But Like those are such different designs to find out they're the same size. Visually, it doesn't look like that.
Yeah. The Taycan does seem smaller for some reason, but I don't know.
Very good.
Where's our assistant tonight, Dan?
I think we've given them the night off, haven't we? It's,
Obviously.
I think we've lent them to Jorge so he could use them on his show, because apparently that's what he used and said. So, hey, Jorge.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah.
I think we'll steer clear of the controversy tonight, but maybe it's a question for our audience. Is it ever okay to cut the mustard?
There you go. Leave a comment. Yes, and there was an update posted today, I saw.
Yeah, so the mustard is the double yellow lines that run in the middle of a road, and technically it's illegal to cross them. Spirited drivers sometimes see a straight line from point A to point B versus a set of restrictions. But let us know, audience. Maybe we'll start a poll. Is it ever okay to cut the mustard? And I did want to make an ask to our audience as well. So we get lots of feedback every week. Great feedback, very constructive feedback. But one of the things that Ryan noticed is quite a small percentage of our listeners are actually subscribed. What was the number?
85% of our listeners are not subscribers, which shocked me. And I just think of how many listeners we'd have if those people were automatically getting force-fed our show each week, right? So please do follow or subscribe or whatever the term is on your platform of choice, because it makes a huge difference. If we can double that to, 30% of you who subscribe, who listen, it would make a huge difference.
We're going to send Ryan back to math school, because 25 double does not equal 30.
No, 15. 15. Did I say that wrong? 85% of people
80,
who...
Oh, I thought you said
85.
15.
Yeah. No, I am a product of the American public school system,
I know
so,
what you mean.
it wouldn't surprise me if I screwed that out.
I've been too busy cutting mustard.
Well, now we know what your answer would be in the poll, Dan.
That's right.
It's funny because it's different in Europe. In Europe, it's it's allowed. So
I didn't know
as long as it's not like
I didn't know that
completely
either.
solid.
Okay.
But it's not frowned upon in the same way, I don't think. But
So what's the sensibility about it there?
it's just if it's safe,
Yeah.
right? So if you can see a clear line from point A to point B, it's actually potentially advanced driving by taking a straight line versus cornering.
Right.
So, and that's going to create more debate, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm saying that's for Europe. I'm not saying that's for the US.
Yeah.
So let us know, do you cut the mustard, and when is it appropriate?
We are here to create controversy, if nothing else.
Consumer advice, controversy, car reviews. What else do you want from a podcast?
I know. Well, I think, did you guys notice, this caught my attention because we've talked about it a lot lately with the fashion brand collaborations of, yesteryear.
Oh,
which was...
don't get me started. I've got one for you in a minute on this. I've got one.
Do you?
Yeah,
Okay,
go
so
on.
obviously Subaru and LL Bean used to collaborate, and Ford and Eddie Bauer. So Ford has come out with a new one. They are partnered with Carhartt, and you're going to be able to purchase, starting the 2027 model year, you'll be able to get the Ford Super Duty Carhartt edition.
Yeah. I am not man enough for that.
The Carhartt is now fashionable, right, with young people?
I think it's like hipstery, that's all I got.
I wonder if the seats are like that suede type. But there's
Like
a
their
rumor
special
going
team.
around in Formula One right now that Gucci are coming in with the Alpine team.
Oh.
So it would be
Coming in hot.
Gucci Alpine 2027. And I just, what do the driver's suits look like?
Well-
what does the race team look like?
Amazing.
What does their luggage?
In a word, fantastic.
But they're missing an opportunity. They were very famously was the Gucci Cadillac collab of 1984 or whatever that was, right? With the Seville, Cadillac, F1 team. And that artwork wouldn't be AI generated.
No, but
leave it
the
there.
Gucci Alpine team, everything is Gucci in that team. Like, if it happens, you heard it here first. If it doesn't, we'll deny ever saying it.
That's right. We never created it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it.
So-
Well, so really, that's the two-car solution: is you get one of the Gucci Alpine F1 cars and then a Ford Carhartt, and you've covered all your bases.
You're winning at life.
You are.
Winning at life. Did
Gotta
anyone
find oil.
see the new Swatch collaboration?
Yeah.
Ooh, was it the one? It was pink, turquoise, and yellow.
They've
They've
gone
8
with a new
colors.
brand, right?
Okay.
And I think is it Audemars Piguet?
Yeah, it's AP. Yeah, and they're pretty cool. They're pretty cool.
But
I'm
they're not a wristwatch. They are a pocket watch.
Well, you can pop them into a band.
Can you? Because I looked on their
Yes.
website and there weren't any bands available at purchase at
Oh,
launch.
interesting. Okay, I have seen maybe I've seen renderings, but I mean that's one way to bring back the past.
I know. I'm like, I feel like this is aggressively throwback.
When's that train coming in? The steamy.
Right.
Like, that's
Twirling
that's
your pocket
bold.
watch.
Yeah. I don't know.
That's
I
fascinating.
like the idea, and I think it's fascinating that they're doing it. And I know that Swatch brand owns, some of this, these brands they're
Omega
collabing with.
Black
but
Pound.
yeah.
How'd you pronounce it? Blopon?
Yeah, I believe so. That's the one I want. That's the one that does
50
it for me.
Fathoms
Yeah,
tribute.
that's a
and
cool
now
watch.
Audemars Piguet. You know, I think Sheffield watches should do a pocket watch. How classy would that be?
Yeah.
Jay, if you're listening, we're happy to beat a test.
Yeah.
That's true. I would rock a Sheffield pocket watch. That'd be amazing.
Yeah.
Wear some tweed.
That's right.
Yeah,
Sheffields
like a
are
neat
showing
little
up on at award ceremonies now. You saw the picture.
And celebrities.
Celebrities, yeah. Which is, I don't know what ceremony that was or event, but they do this watch check, so it's like Rolex, AP. It's all the good stuff. I'm a watch guy, and apparently I can only think of 2 brands. But then there was the comedian, what's his name, Fluffy.
Oh, Gabriel Iglesias.
Gabriel Iglesias had the Sheffield Jay Leno watch on, which was
Ooh,
really cool to
that's
see.
awesome.
So,
Yeah.
Jay, you've hacked Hollywood. That's
Fluffy
cool.
and the hosts of that car show.
right.
Celebrities. They're just like
Started
us.
here.
Yeah.
That's right.
Well, speaking
Anyway.
of watch check, yeah, I've got my.
I'm-
Ooh, I love that
Yeah,
one.
I
Wow.
screwed up tonight. I
Ryan's
never
watch
see me
list.
without a watch. So, yeah. Waiting on that pocket watch, guys.
Yeah,
You go.
Bring it on.
What time is it, Ryan? And when is the next train?
and you have to start calling people doll and like speaking like they did in the
she-
20s. Yeah.
Nice.
Like you've
I
got-
think we are probably at a show, aren't we?
Yeah, we better stop now.
The wheels are coming off.
So thank you everyone for listening. As Ryan said, please subscribe. And however you do that, it does mean a lot to us.
It does.
And we'll be back next week with an interesting guest.
That's right.
That's right. Yeah. And on that note, remember, always be driving. We're That Car Show, and we'll see you next week.